Warning, the following audio may contain coarse language and other materials that may not be suitable for a younger audience. The opinions expressed in this audio are solely those of the speakers involved. These conversations may contain spoilers for current media such as games, comics, movies, television shows, and more. Grown Geeks makes no claim to ownership of the various media discussed, simply the opinions expressed. Listener discretion is advised.
That's still so weird.
I had to get home in time to watch Power Rangers.
Oh shit.
Move us just a wee bit so I can cover everybody up with the... I done messed up and got to playing with Photopia, man, and think I can do some stuff.
You done found the free Photoshop. It's over.
But the thing is, like, I can figure that out. Granted, it takes me like an hour and a half for something he can do in like literally 10 minutes.
That's how you know you're getting old, Sam.
Y'all got to start somewhere.
That's how you don't know what you're doing versus someone that knows what they're doing. Big difference, big difference. All right, welcome, geeks. We are GROWNAGEEKS. This is Weigh In Wednesday. You are awesome for being here. Man, we are already jumping up in the comments. What's going on, folks? Power Rangers. You know what? We can jump right into Power Rangers just because. So actually, you know what? I'm just gonna send one quick text because I thought Northup was gonna get on, but maybe he decided not to. But I do have to actually show the photos from the Ren Festival. We went to the Georgia Ren Festival. David Northup, best friend, buddy. We went opening day. Today is his birthday, so big shout out to David. Happy birthday. And as annual, we go to Renfest for his birthday because it's usually like right around the same time, opening weekend, whatnot. So we went Saturday, and I took a ton of pictures. And
Sam, real quick, can I do a drink check? Everyone, drink check.
Drink check.
Check. What we got?
So I am using my brand new custom rocks glasses. Got this at the Ren Festival, no less. Got a his set. So we got the got my custom Superman logo and got a Wonder Woman for the wife. But that's my glass. So I have my drink, and when that's gone, I got my backup. So David, what you got? Because you had a nifty little thing there a moment ago. Hold that up.
This?
No, not the glass. We were talking about
the Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull,
which is full of cherry vanilla rum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Mixed with a strawberry and cream Dr. Pepper. It's been a long day. I'm very tired.
Jeff, did you medicate before the show?
No, I've actually been unmedicated for a few days.
What?
Well, look at that.
You know, just so I don't want my tolerance to get crazy high. No pun intended.
Got you. All right. You know what?
But I do have a Sprite Zero.
All right, I'm gonna disappear for just a quick second. I'll be right back.
But we got you. That unfiltered tap water. That's how you do it right there. Going unfiltered, risky man. Getting with it. And Russell had some Irish cream. You dare not drink anymore, be passed out in the next 5. Linda, what do you have? What are you drinking today?
I have just a basic Moscato. We're just doing the wine tonight.
Just a Moscato. So went to Ren Festival and got a chance to see a bunch of cosplayers. And I'm just going to like scrub through these photos real quick. Mainly because I'm going to actually upload this gallery to the group. Just because like there were so many people that I got to see and I got to talk to a lot of people. And of course, I never shut up. I'm always like telling people about the group. I'm like, hey, I do this, da-da-da. So I'm like, let them know I'm going to be putting this online. It's going to go in this group. Are you okay with that? And everybody's like, yeah, that'd just be really cool. And I was like, you know what? Here, scan this QR code. That QR code right over there. I have that on my phone so people can scan that and immediately join and jump in the group. So we had a lot of people join, and I did tell them I would highlight their photos and if they would be shared. They would be shared. So I am going to share those photos. I'm just going to put this up. And I'll just kind of let the videos speak for themselves. I mean, just let the pictures speak for themselves. But it was some really, really, really impressive cosplays. And I wanted to just highlight a few of those people who were doing things. So that is Dave. That is another one of his custom hats. Both he and Pam are wearing custom hats there. That's a nice little red hat he made and the blue hat he made.
Does that Jester have a penis on his head?
Actually, you know what? No. But it does, like, see how it kind of curls here with the ball. It just happens that the top one is a very faded red. Okay.
It's the angle. It's a Jester hat, but
it is like, but you know what?
David just walked by and heard me say stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
This was apparently from World of Warcraft. I actually thought it was initially from Dragon Age. I thought it was like one of the blood mages from Dragon Age. And I was like, oh, look at that. That is dope. But it turns out it's World of Warcraft. Don't know who she was, but she was there with him, and his cosplay was pretty dope. And you can stay in the picture. Go right ahead. This gentleman here, he actually has joined the group already. He was able to, like, reception was horrible that day, and for whatever reason, like, everybody had to like join in later, but a lot of people took pictures of the QR codes, that kind of thing. But he does cosplay on a regular. I want to say he gave me one of his cards. I'm looking through them real quick to see if it's one of the people here. I don't see it. Doesn't stand out at me. But he's actually joined the group, and that was a fantastic troll he had. Not troll, but dwarf he had. I mean, with the prosthetic nose, ears, the whole nine. This is a video of my son very poorly shooting the bow and arrow.
David's going to have a blast with that this weekend.
Yeah. Very, very, very bad bows, though. So, like, there's another one further down, and I think it's just a little bit better. So I would say stick with that one.
Well, David actually bought a longbow from the Apple Festival we went to last year, I think. Yeah. My timelines are off, but not being said, it's not like he's going to take it there and try it out. But yeah, David loves archery and stuff.
And so there's more photos just because my son also did the hangman challenge and had the record high for the day for a good bit. It got beat right before we left. Somebody at the end, he was actually coming in. He was at 60 seconds. And at 70 seconds, she won a prize. So if he went anywhere else, like in Vegas, he could hang for a minute. So I got to remember that. And next time we have one of those like hang for a minute challenges, like, hey, get up there, win that money. But anybody who can hang 100 seconds, it was $100. It was a lot of fun. Check it out. Of course, you know, when you're out and you're trying to take pictures, you always mistakenly hit camera video. But then we had, there's a Dread Pirate Roberts. We've got some Demon Slayer cosplay happening there. More Demon Slayer cosplay. He's only got one of his wives with him, but he's normally would have 3 wives. My son hopping in the picture there. And there were actually, like, there was a whole family of the Demon Slayer. The only person they didn't have was Inosuke. But there's the other, the Tanjiro. There was a Mandalorian running around. There was a Stormtrooper. He is part of the 501st and normally comes to cons. But I caught them when they were on a break, as it was rather warm, and I did not want to make him suffer to stay in his helmet and costume and such. A pirate and his winch, or her winch. We didn't have a discussion as to what the proper pronouns were, but
is this when you go with they, them?
Them. That is what that was. That was
a pirate with their winch.
A pirate with their winch. Thank you. And I just want to be fair, like that we didn't have a discussion. I didn't ask, but they were so kind. They did stop to take a picture, and it was a very intricate getup. So I was like, you know what? I want that picture. More pirates. They were actually really cool. We hung out with them for a little bit. They're actually family. The Dread Pirate Roberts and the Demon Slayer was part of that whole family. More pirates, a Vamp Witch. There's a Nezuko. We got Pirate Pool and some more pirates in the background. Random pirates and pictures. This was just one of those random photos. That was a really, really intricate helmet for that barbarian. Wanted to get a picture of that just because it was pretty cool. And everybody was, whole family in cosplay, like, oh, the family that cosplays together and whatnot. I actually sat through one of the jousting shows. I normally am too busy walking around, and the times for the shows, like there's no cloud coverage, and if you don't get a good seat, you're just in the sun. So I was kind of hesitant, but we decided to suffer through, and it's a pretty entertaining show. So we stayed and we watched, and they jousted and they fought, and there was the king and queen and the royal. So we're up there and get to see some people jousting. Boom. It's funny. I don't know why it's skipping like that. Maybe because I'm recording and live streaming and hosting everything.
Probably.
Yeah. But as I said, that video doesn't skip. A fairy archer and their fairy.
There you go.
He gave me a very specific title, and I was like, if you don't write that down or tag me in this, I'm not going to remember what you said. But it is not just a crusader. He is like an inquisitor knight of something, and was basically saying that people who follow would know exactly what it was. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's like you an Illuminati knight. And he laughed, and he was like, but yeah, kind of. So I was like, okay, I'd have to research that more. But this right here, all of this is supposed to, like, that's a big deal that it's on the scabbard. And that, of course, would help to identify to other Inquisitor Imperial Knights or whatever. That was Mrs. Tumnus. That was a vampire kind of futuristic fairy, quite steampunk. Just, you know, people having fun with cosplay. I'm with it. Let's do it. Oh, my man here was like completely decked out. And I was just like, you gotta be hot. Gotta be. But this gentleman is, let's see. That is, he provided a card. I don't have any of my glasses near me. So Coyote Carforge. I will post it up later in the comments. But that's his card. He's one of those like real deal cosplayers where he had a card available when I stopped him for a picture. But very cool outfit. Wanted to highlight that. Just some winches at the fair.
Family winches.
Family winches. But she had, that's a really cool tattoo she has. I mean, she was like covered in tats. So of course we talked for a little minute. And no, they were all very, very cool. There's a video coming up, but there were some fairy dancers. And there it is. We had some fairy dancers with their little butterfly fans. Not going to make you sit and watch the whole video to get loaded up later. Another group of cosplayers, just some random adventurers. It was actually an instrument, and she was playing it, which was, oh, wait. You know them? Which ones? The family of winches? Probably. Or this group. One of them. I'm sure you know one. And, of course, my son kind of hiding out in the background for the photo. He was like playing Where's Waldo all day, so you'll just randomly see him in photos. Like his head would just be sticking out of the corner over here. Again, a lot of leather armor. Looked a little warm. But anybody who took time and was dedicated, I felt needed to be highlighted because it was a lot of good cosplay, and I wanted to just showcase the cosplay. An entire family of cosplay. And I was just like, we got to highlight this. Like this is a whole moment. This is a whole vibe. And we stopped. We took some photos. We sat and kicked it for a little bit. We talked. Even my man back here in the Gambit, which is, you check. Yeah, I saw Jeff's head pop up. My man back here in the Gambit. And he actually has playing cards, but somebody else had picked them up at that exact moment. But in one of the other photos that he took, he was holding up like 3 cards, and it was pretty cool. So
like hark, baby.
And so, but yeah, we, you know, again, my man's in full garb. Got to take time, got to show the respect, got to show a little love and take that photo. Another family, wizard, warlock, someone from the Shire, and a elf. And at first I was like, elf, but then she did bring up that she is wearing she has the jewelry ears, but still elf ears. So I was like, oh, okay. I see it.
Last year was my first year going because I actually live like be right around the corner from where they have it. And so I took my son last year. It was like my first time going, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised at like how many Black people were there, like in full like cosplay. I was cool. I mean, cosplay it's not my thing, but I like that, you know, I like living in a place where it's like, yeah, like you got all types of Black people, including
the cosplayers. Including the cosplayers, exactly.
It's like the quote unquote like cool happening like Black Panther and all that stuff. It's like, nah, we got Black elves and dwarves and nymphs and
exactly. And there was like anybody who went all out with their costume, I made it a point to highlight them. But there was a little bit of a bias perhaps in my photos, as it was a little bit of community taking place while I was there. We had a good time. And I do plan on cosplaying myself. I've decided instead of initially I was going to go pirate myself because Dave is going to do pirate. And of course, you know, we would be up there hanging out together. And I was like, I don't want anybody confused, like who's the captain, who's the first mate, and we got separate ships. It'd be a lot of explaining. I try to do all that. And pirate isn't really my thing. I was like, you know what? Steampunk. That's what I'm going to do. Steampunk. Because it's tinkering, it's technology, it's a little bit more, you know, innovative and that mechanical, that build, that techie side. I'm all about that. So I could definitely get on board with that. And we looked at some stuff, and I'm gonna go with steampunk next time I head out. Young lady right here is actually the Floppy Bunny. So we have a forest fairy and a Floppy Bunny. We got Link in the house. My man had the Master Sword, full get up, and you know, was looking for some jars to smash, some pottery to break through. I found myself in here because, of course, this was a leather shop and they have all the little doodads to kind of help get some ideas for working on my steampunk cosplay. I don't know. I'll try to incorporate like steampunk, maybe cyberpunk, mix of both. My man here, he had a card also. He actually had a whole handler. Like, I guess, like, I mean, I don't know if he just can't talk in that or what the case may be, but as I was like talking to that person, they were just kind of like shaking their head, yes and no and whatnot. And then a few moments later, somebody else walks over, hands me a card, and just starts talking to me. And I was like, well, I was talking to you. Oh, you're with them. Got it. Okay. So I was like, and who are you? Because I wasn't, like had to catch myself because I was just like, bruh, excuse me, talking to them.
I'm looking at these costumes. I'm like, I know this car ride home is musty.
You know what?
That is leather, heat, friction,
and a lot of cons. This was just a guy we stopped. He had some cool tattoos, and we were just chit chat with him while we were standing in line for something. But he has Destiny, got all the different character types right there: Hunter, Warlocks, and Titans. This apparently is from, I think that's Warhammer we were talking about. And the hat is from One Piece, and if I'm not mistaken, the little smileys up there are from another anime. Dave,
No, they're both from One Piece.
Oh.
That's just a hat.
Okay, the whole hat together.
Yeah.
Got it. He had a couple other tattoos on the underside. I know there was a Nightwing symbol, Red Hood, and a Batman symbol. So this was him. Just because this was just a unique group to be traveling together, I was like, let me get this photo just because this makes for an interesting photo. A nobleman, a pirate, and a djinn. Not a genie, a djinn. They wanted me to be very clear. I was like, isn't it just called a djinn? He was like, no, it's djinn. I was like, okay.
What was I watching that had that in there? Oh, was that Miss Marvel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Miss Marvel, they were talking about the djinn, which is basically Jesus. Also would have heard it in The Witcher, and it would have come up if you watched the Will Smith remake of Aladdin. Steampunk and fairy. So this is typically what people kind of think of, and you kind of go this route with steampunk and whatnot. Of course, it's the belt. It's the buckles, it's the sashes, it's still the leather. I already have a couple of top hats. I have a couple of pairs of goggles. I'm gonna do it up and have all the bolts and the ratchets and the sprockets and the cogs and stuff. So that'll be my contribution. 3 winches. They just happened to be in the area as we were walking, and I was already taking pictures. And it's kind of funny because in a lot of the times when I got ready to take pictures, I had to open up with GROWNAGEEKS and show them the QR code, explain who I was and what I was doing, because otherwise it just seems weird. Like, hey, you 3 girls, can I take your picture? Seems weird. So to not be that weird guy, it was, but it also helped that a lot of times people would see me take 2 or 3 pictures over here, and then when I came to them to ask to take a picture, they were a little more disarmed because obviously I'm taking a lot of pictures. Another whole family. This is a little bit more accurate for the steampunk for those who are not familiar. So here again, the cogs. This steampunk cane was kind of dope. We took a highlight of the cane, but husband and wife steampunk. Kid kind of went with the steampunk. You can see he's got the cogs and stuff on the hat. And I don't know if that was a daughter or the girlfriend, but she was complete opposite end. She went full fairy. So, but this whole family together and seeing that's cogs, sprockets and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, let me figure out a way to turn that into something that would fire, and I'd be with it. Kind of go with a multi-purpose cane. So he's got a rune on his forehead. So of course they're Vikings and such. He has on the kilt, and again, just the commitment in the cosplay is something to be commended. Is this where I got my glasses? Yes, this is where I got my glasses. So again, my custom glasses etched onto the glass itself. I have my Superman and I have a Wonder Woman, his and her set. Really good deal. And I have a coupon here I have a card here when you return. So if I get to you and you want to get something 10% off your next purchase. This young couple right here, really cool. She's doing the steampunk thing. They're actually getting married and they're having a steampunk wedding. It was really cool to just sit and chit chat with them for a minute. It took forever, but this was such a good picture of them that I sent them this actual picture. So he has actually joined the group, and he's actually liked a few things and made a post already. So kind of dope. Of course, it's just a thing about community. So hopefully we'll hear from them a little bit more. They were cool people. My man here was decked out, and he's got 4 swords on him. It's just he's that dude. And I'm like, you know what? If I was on a pirate ship and he was the type of person to jump on my pirate ship, you know what? It's yours, bro. You can have it. We ain't trying to fight.
Right.
My man in the back with a kilt. Plague Doctor here. He had a card. I'm just gonna take pictures. You know what? When I load all this stuff up to the gallery, it'll all be there because I'm not gonna sit here and go through these each. Plague Doctor, he's there. I don't know what the exact theme was. It was something giving me Robin Hood vibes.
Yeah, it looked like Big John or Little John, not Big John.
Big John, I think, is a Wayne movie or something. But yeah, definitely
yeah.
giving Lil Jon vibes. And okay, so the pirate on the right, she is a cosplayer, YouTuber, etc. Her name is Tinker the Pirate. Tinker the Pirate. You can find her on Facebook under her name. You can feel free to contact her, tag her in photos. She loves meeting and keeping up with all friends. Has her phone number posted on the card, so I won't be posting that portion of it. But she is a YouTuber. You can find her under Tinker the Pirate. Cool young lady. And that was her mom there with her, and they are both like fully decked out and have like the whole get up. That's me with tattooed Santa. I don't know how he managed to stay in that big ass coat. Like, I was hot, and my man had on the full gear. Even if he takes that coat off, he still has on the full undergear. But it's really cool. Tattooed Santa has a naughty and nice tattoo along with a bunch of Celtic runes. A really cool guy. I've seen him there numerous times. He actually remembered me because, of course, every time I go, I have on my Superman shirt, and I'm always with Dave. So, of course, we stand out like a sore thumb. We've met him a couple of times. They were also really, really cool and stopped to take some pictures. This is a tiefling from Dungeons and Dragons class. A race in Dungeons and Dragons. Tieflings are, think of like Hellboy. Hellboy would essentially be a tiefling. So you see the horns, the tail, the whole nine. My Hero Academia fans. We got Icy Hot right here, Todoroki. But this is a cleric version.
I started back watching My Hero a little bit.
Where are you at right now?
I'm not far at all. It's like I think I'm right after they fought the dude who licks the blood.
Stain.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good headway though.
Everybody just finished a like internship, and I think they're like coming back, and they're about to fight the teachers.
And that was it. That was the photos I took. Those, and honestly, a lot of them. I actually had more photos, but some of them were just like duplicates in different angles. So I was like, you know what? We'll just kind of get to the main ones. I did get some other stuff, some other purchases I made. This was a young lady who was an artist. Where's her card? Because I do want to highlight her. This young lady here, Teacup Fairy things and collectibles. Teacup Fairy. Stop by her vendor booth. It has a lot of really cool curios and collectibles, and she was really, really cool, really, really sweet. We were able to sit and chit chat for a good little bit. She has nifty stuff in her shop. There's an artist. Got this photo of a fairy for the wife. Just something cool she can kind of post up and have somewhere on the desk or wherever she likes. Also by the same artist. That's her artwork. Very talented. I liked that all of her fairies weren't the same little cookie cutter Tinkerbell design. She had a variety of fairies. So there was somebody that everybody could kind of feel like, oh, that looks like someone I know. And that was positive and made me happy, and as a result, I bought some stuff. So yeah, I had a great time at the Renaissance Festival, and the next time I go, I am going to be cosplaying some steampunk. I've already got a couple of the things and pieces for it, and I'll just be adding, and I'll be using my 3D printer to make some stuff for it. But that was me at the Georgia Ren Festival. Enjoyed myself, and David, you and Linda, you all are going real soon, right?
Yes, this weekend, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, then we can, you know what? We can do a deep dive maybe next week. If you all go this weekend, we can talk about it next week. We can like really pick apart the Georgia Renaissance Festival, talk about all the different things there, the good, the bad, the whole nine. And we can make that a whole show. I just wanted to highlight those photos as I did kind of, a lot of fun. On to movies. So this is the moment. This is the time. We are going to go ahead and edit this one. Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Mario movie. This is absolutely going to be a spoiler review.
Yeah.
As much as I would not like to have anybody leave, if you have not seen the Super Mario Brothers movie and you don't want anything ruined, now would be the time to come back later. But if you're here and you're with us and you don't mind spoilers, I will say, like, if you've ever played Mario Brothers, it ain't a whole lot that's going to get spoiled. I mean, I really don't feel like there's anything that could be spoiled, per se. You know what I'm saying?
David, why aren't you wearing your Bowser Key goo for this?
Because it's hot in this room.
There's a whole AC unit in the window.
I know, and I have it on right now. It's still hot, and I don't want to wear it right now.
Well, use your puppet then. Show off all your fun Bowser stuff. As our resident Bowser person.
There's nothing. It is. The screen is doing weird things. I apologize if your screens are doing weird stuff. I don't mean for it to do that. Okay, well, we're gonna keep it. So,
Yep.
Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
The Sonic movies were better.
All right, I'm gonna need you to stop right now.
Still a good movie. Sonic movies are better.
Settle down.
What a controversial take.
You know what? I'm not disagreeing with that statement though.
See, I feel like we
But I
all
think
just need to band together right now to stick it to the critics because they're being a lot more harsh with it than, I mean, as we expect from critics. But yeah, they're being a lot more harsh to the movie than it actually. But it's still a fun movie. But like, I put it on par with like a little lower than like the second Wreck-It Ralph movie.
The second Wreck-It Ralph movie.
Maybe on par with the second Wreck-It Ralph movie.
Okay. While I can agree that the Sonic movies were better, I think the story that they told with the Sonic movies was more interesting. Okay, so first off, just getting into what this Mario movie was, there is absolutely no explanation. Like, why were those pipes down there? There's just, I mean, it's not one of those things where I want to sit here and just pick the movie apart. Let me be clear. I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. There was a lot of like pointing at the screen. There was a lot of moments where it was like, I recognize this, I recognize that. They honestly, they fit as much as was logically eligible to fit into a movie in terms of, and I air quote this, lore and Easter eggs. The Mario Brothers story is not, that is what Mario Brothers is. Now, as they've gone through all these other games, and you got Super Mario 1, Super Mario, then you have like 2, 3, Super Mario Sunshine, however many Mario games there are, because there's so much stuff, like maybe now they're starting to get into like, oh, here's more of the story. Here's something different. But
end of the day,
It's
just a plumber.
It is a
Just
simple
jumping on
story.
Google.
Yes, there is a simple story.
And I'm sure the gamers can correct me if I'm wrong. But
I will.
The only reason Mario is wearing overalls is just because they had to just put something there. That was what they had to do to show that he had like arms. Otherwise, his like body was just gonna be like.
Well, the mustache. Okay, so I do know that the character design, when it was originally out on Nintendo Entertainment System, the character design,
full government name,
right, on the NES, the mustache was there to separate his face from his body because of the pixel limitations. Like you said, the overalls are just so that you can see his body defined. The gloves are just so you can tell what his hand is. Yeah, that way it's not just
because really, like, there's nothing really about him in the game when you in the original that's like plumber, except for the fact that it's a whole bunch of like pipes.
Like that's it. There was nothing that was definitive to say that.
Like it's not like he uses like water to like
Super Mario
do
Sunshine.
anything.
But
oh yeah, that's
okay. So all in all, like if I had to give this movie any kind of rating, if I go with and just so that I can judge it more accurately, I would say on a 10-point scale, I would give this movie 7.5 overall. There's nothing wrong with this movie. It hits all the points it needs to hit. It explains who the characters are, why they're doing what they're doing, their motivations, and you get a hero moment. There are things I could go through and do to nitpick and pick the movie apart if I wanted to complain about something. But I enjoyed myself. I laughed, I cried, I had a good time. It's a good overall movie. I don't understand why it's gotten any of the negative stuff. But I mean, we've talked about this, how these people who are having to do professional reviews are not prepared to review movies like this.
/ don't want to.
Bingo.
Because they're about cinema. And it's also like, why are you complaining? Like Martin Scorsese, you walk in and you can pretty much get any and everything made that you want to get made. You're at that point in your career, and yet you keep choosing to make mafia movies about like old dudes. So what's the difference between you doing that and Marvel making comic book movies? Like you're a genre guy too. You're basically an IP guy too. So yeah, I feel you on that. I think that's really what it boils down to. It's like if I'm a serious critic and I got into it because I love Casablanca and I love all these like movies that you see on like Turner Classic Movies and stuff
Right.
like that. You asked me to go review a movie about a cartoon jumping up and down through pipes to save a princess and fighting ape. I'm gonna be like, what are you asking me to do? It's like you gotta also just like have the right. I feel like I've said this before. You gotta have the right critic for the film as well, and that doesn't necessarily mean somebody's gonna let them off the hook, but they're also gonna be more understanding about like what the movie is trying to do, and they can be, I feel like, honest and true to that instead of like getting on a soapbox about like what cinema needs to be and should be and what it used to be. It's like, I don't care, dog. That's over. Like, the movies also still exist.
Yeah, I mean, there's still time and places for that. For every West Side Story remake, you know what I'm saying, where somebody's actually going for cinema, you know what I'm saying? Because we're still going to get The Whale. We're still going to get those kind of movies. Those movies are never going to stop being made. But like you said, at the same time, bills got to get paid. People have to get, checks got to clear and that sort of stuff. So we need to put something in theaters that people are going to go pay to see so we can make all this other money. David.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Super Mario Brothers movie.
All right. So
David, go ahead and start up a queue.
That's what I said. Let me buckle in real quick. Hold on. Seatbelt.
Actually, I guess as per usual, I have more criticisms about the movie or negative criticisms about the movie than David does. But yeah,
Well, I mean, we'll hit on all of it.
Yeah.
You'll get a moment.
all right. So I'm gonna get my negatives out of the way real quick. So as a whole, the plot did feel just a bit rushed in the second half. I understand there's a lot that we got to get through. There's a lot of set pieces that we want to show off, but like it feels like we didn't give enough time to the set pieces that we really wanted to show off. Like there was the whole bit where they were journeying off to the Kong Kingdom, and we went through all these set pieces, including Yoshi's Island, which would have been really fun to kind of look through and see and actually hang out with Yoshi, which would have been cool. But no, we just. It exists. Maybe next movie. Sure. Okay. Also, Luigi was barely in the movie. Which I don't get.
He was in the entire movie, but they reduced him to. I mean, you talk about a player too. Like his controller wasn't even plugged in half the movie, dog.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It was kind of weird. Like, and
Charlie Day as Luigi.
Yeah.
Would be really good if they go back and dig a little bit more. Like when they had the Shy Guys, cuff him up and whatnot. I was looking for the ghosts. I wanted to see him like look at the ghost and the ghost turn away. I wanted if they were going to do the little Easter egg things that they did, those were the kind of things. Having him in the one castle by himself kind of would have led to Luigi's Haunted Mansion. Maybe a spinoff. He goes back now that he's Do you
think it would have been better if they had treated it like Sonic and just waited till the second one to introduce, like how they waited till the second one to introduce Tails and Knuckles?
No, because that would have been worse, I think.
Luigi is still he's still important enough as a character. If they have Bowser, Toad, and Peach get as much screen time as they got, Luigi needed more screen time as well.
Yeah.
Loigi literally played the role of damsel in distress for almost the entire movie.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was.
It's like he was locked up throughout the whole movie, and then like the last 10 minutes, he's like, "Oh, I have my courage now." Like that.
Yeah. I mean, it was the whole can of spinach moment he had right there at the end. I mean, I will say, okay, cool. Luigi came in clutch and saves the day, but
you're not like player 2 is important too, or something like that for all the little brothers out there.
Even if it had just been like, my brother's always standing up for me, now it's my turn to stand up for him, and he hits Bowser from the back of the head. Like anything would have been better.
Or it's time for me to be player 1, something like that.
Like, which we kind of got that, but like I said, it just didn't feel earned. He really sat throughout the movie doing basically nothing and like almost died. That was what else?
Were there any other glaring negatives?
I didn't think glaring, like just little nitpicks here and nothing that I feel like worth it to like bring up. Because everything else was just fantastic, at least to me. Because I know Linda's going to say something about it later, so I need to bring it up now. Voice acting speech was okay
for me. All right, listen.
Yeah, I know for this. Yeah, she was okay to me. She was okay. Like everybody else was just bombastic. Even Seth Rogen, who usually just plays Seth Rogen, and
But honestly, I feel like Seth Rogen was perfect voice for Donkey. Like it was just like his laugh.
yeah, he did the
perfect.
laugh. Yeah,
And to be completely honest, I mean, Jack Black doesn't really do voices. He's just Jack Black.
he's just Jack Black. But it's
Like,
that
people-
actually fit as Bowser though.
It does, but like I've seen people like it's still. I think it still needs to be recognized because there are people online who will bash like 6 Ways to Sunday
But
that what's his face doesn't actually do voices. He just sits there and just talks,
Well,
and he's just him. And I'm like, well, that's exactly what Jack Black does. He's just more animated.
In Jack Black's favor, like in this movie, he actually did put some effort into sounding like Bowser. Like it's
Everyone did, and
I know,
that's
I
a
know.
good thing.
I know it was just
Well,
Seth,
almost everyone did.
yeah. Seth Rogen like was more himself than he was Donkey Kong, but as we don't really have a voice for Donkey Kong, so it's not that big a deal.
The personality that he brought to the character
Yeah.
still worked really well.
Yeah,
Same with Bowser and Jack Black.
Oh, actually, yeah. No, okay, there is another thing. The whole it's kind of a negative and a positive too. Like the whole interaction between Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong and Mario, it felt a little like it was gonna go somewhere, but it was more like, yeah, we fucking hate each other, but
We're frenemies.
kind of deal. Which is necessary. It's kind of true, but at the same time, it's just more like I feel like we didn't have enough time to actually like do that.
Well, okay, so
I don't know.
Even with the Donkey Kong part, and this was one of the things that like kind of stuck out of my head and just left me a little confused. So at one point earlier, we see them in the restaurant, and in the background, as like a little Easter egg, there's a Donkey Kong video game.
Right.
So then he goes through this magical portal that just exists under the city for some reason. He ends up in the Mushroom Kingdom, but it looks like he could have ended up anywhere. But I guess all pipes kind of lead back to the Mushroom Kingdom ultimately,
Not
wherever
necessarily.
world that is. Because there's different areas in the world. Because they have like the Darklands, they have the Kong region, they have the Mushroom Kingdom. Apparently, there were some other places that Bowser had already conquered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like where the penguins are and that sort of thing. But going through that pipe would have put you somewhere on that world. So why does that pipe exist, and how did it get there? Why is it just under the Bronx? Okay,
That's kind of the original, like the origins for Mario anyway. Like he was actually just a plumber from Brooklyn and just fucked around and found a pipe. And oops, I'm in the Mushroom Kingdom now.
See, now even when you go back to not even Super Mario Brothers, but when you go to the original Mario Brothers games where it's just turtles and you have the hammers and you have to like throw the hammers and stuff like that and jump around. Mario also being the main protagonist who had to save the girl in Donkey Kong. You know what I'm saying? That's another one of those little like Easter egg kind of things. That's where like, and then you see Donkey Kong. Like it.
I guess you could almost kind of see it as like maybe the person who made it had like somehow gotten over to that area as well, and then managed to go back to Brooklyn, and it was never the same.
Yeah.
Like he never saw it, but like it was almost like a fever dream to him. So he made this game based on what happened to him there.
And it was to get it out of there and save the kingdom, but now you're endangering.
Well, I mean, yes and no, because it's most likely would end up veering off course and just kind of exploding in somewhere in the abyss in between. Because there was a lot of like space that it had to travel through.
Well, I mean, that's how Luigi got separated earlier.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So I think there's like, I think he also saw it as I think he saw it as like the possibility of it actually going back to Brooklyn was very small, just based on his knowledge. Plus, I mean, he had to think of something, and
like also think about this is a Mario and Luigi that don't know how the warp pipes work just yet.
Right.
They haven't quite figured out, but they know what Brooklyn is. So warp pipes are basically like, do you know where you want to go? And that's where you're gonna go. If you don't, then fucking whatever, you're gonna go somewhere. I guess it was dumb luck that Luigi ended up in the Darklands. It was dumb luck that Mario ended up in the Mushroom Kingdom. It just sucked all around for them.
And Toad is the first person he found. Okay, so Linda
that also sucks all around.
Hey, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Honestly, that's not the first voice I'd want to hear if I wake up in a strange new land. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry.
We're not doing that.
So Linda, you
are we doing that?
You've got some gripes and thoughts about the voice acting and other things. What are your thoughts? Are you completed?
What?
Did you get everything out, Dave?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was more so like I just had the positive. The positive was just like the movie was good. I had fun. It was great. Would watch it again.
We had little
Immediately.
kids take pictures with us. because we were dressed up.
Oh, that's right, because you had on your whole Bowser get up and you had on your Peach outfit.
I threw together a Peach outfit last minute thanks to my my Kirby dress I bought for my Kirby cosplay last year. It happened to work, so. And I happened to have a Peach crown lying around. Don't ask me why. It was either that or be Luigi, and I didn't feel like being Luigi, so.
Yeah.
So I did almost wear Cappy. I did have a cap. I have a Cappy hat.
So, Dave, what would you give it on the scale of 1 to 10?
It's a solid 9 for me.
Solid 9. Got a 9. Linda, talk to me. Super Mario Brothers movie.
So, David and I pretty much agree on everything that he was stating there. The last half felt kind of rushed. The first half was, it was well paced and it was kind of whimsical, which was nice. I do think the whole little montage of Mario trying to go through the obstacle course was a little drawn out for my taste. I feel like they could have done more. I also would have loved to see Yoshi in some capacity, aside from as a footnote.
I was missing.
But I'm assuming they're pulling a Tails here and they're saving Yoshi for the second movie. But yeah, so voice actresses in video games or video game related stuff. There's been a lot of those issues recently. I'm specifically referring to Ada Wong from Resident Evil 4 remake and people bullying her off of social media. And I don't think I've heard a lot of issues. People in general overall seem to like Peach's voice actress. I didn't really care for her. It was already kind of strange enough that she was the only one that wasn't a big name actor that was chosen for a lead role. Actually,
she would fall into that category of up and coming, and I think
but they didn't waste that on any other character. They didn't put an up and coming for Mario. They didn't put an up and coming for Luigi or literally any other character in there. They're all very popular kind of meme characters. And anyway, so aside from that, so I couldn't quite put my finger on it at first, and I saw a video of someone that was just kind of explaining their gripes with it, and the similar things. They had issues with the way Peach sounded. It just didn't seem right. It was off. Everyone else had some sort of modicum of homage to their I messed that up. Please assume to me I messed up my things here. Sorry, I'm playing Final Fantasy. But yeah, I had some sort of other homage to the way their original voice actor sounds, because no one wants to listen to any of the exact ways that any of these Mario characters sound for fucking almost 2 hours, right? And that includes Peach. The problem is they sucked, she sucked the life, and I'm not really blaming her. Just as a pretense of this, I'm not blaming the voice actress herself. I'm sure she's very talented.
That is Anya Taylor-Joy.
I'm blaming the director. I'm blaming whoever told her to sound the way she sounded. That's who I'm blaming. No blame. I'm blaming the men. I'm not blaming the woman. It is not her fault. But she sounded just like a normal chick you pulled off the street. That's it. She didn't have any kind of specialty to her voice. There was nothing that was an homage to the original character, the way the original character sounded. Nothing, right? And you can't even say, oh, well, Peach has a really kind of awful voice or awful sounding voice. I wouldn't want to listen to that. Well, you wouldn't want to listen to Mario either. But you could still tell it was Mario. It was done in a way that was tolerable, but still you could tell it was Mario. And we were all super worried about. Did I get hit by that too?
Okay.
So what this person in this video pointed out is that they gave on the other issues I saw were people saying they wrote her character too much as the what do you call it, the anti-damsel in distress, girl boss kind of thing.
Girl boss too hard.
But to a cringy point, not to a female empowerment point. So I don't know who all wrote the script or whatever and all that, but it all very much seems like it was written by a man thinking of, when I think strong, empowered woman, this is what I think. And it's this, but kind of boring, the same thing you see all the time, but very tropey, if that makes sense.
Does it seem like it was a script where somebody wrote something and then they went and then the executives were like, we got to make the woman character stronger because we don't want to hear any backlash about having,
I don't think it was even something that was changed. I think that's what they wrote her like that to begin with, because that's what's popular right now. But it's not believable. That's the problem. There's a believability to it that they could absolutely write into it if they put work into it, but a lot of them don't. And I do think that there is still a major imbalance between women behind the scenes and in more important roles when it comes to making movies, TV shows, that kind of stuff. But anyway, regardless of all of that, this person really pinpointed this for me, right? And it's essentially they gave her Daisy's personality because
Rather than Peach.
so she wasn't Peach, and that's why I think it was rubbing me the wrong way. She was Daisy, and she wasn't that in there. There wasn't even like a hint to it. She was just a rough and tumble tomboy who they happened to crown her princess, so she knows there's certain things she has to do. But like there was nothing like Peach has always been kind of like really proper and everything, and having the kind of more high-pitched voice, the more calm kind of like manners to things and everything. And yes, she can absolutely kick ass herself her own way. People keep forgetting that you can be effeminate and at the same time she
come on.
I know, David,
I mean, but is that the message we're going to get from the Mario Brothers? And I don't want to make sure that I'm asking the right question here. I feel
absolutely
like she's
not. The other ones have a lot longer of a career, behind, a lot more stuff. They have a lot more experience than her.
okay. And I don't. Okay, so is Keegan Michael Key bigger than her?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
From Key and Peele from that show.
Well, that's what helped.
Yeah.
With everything. Same with Charlie Day. Like he had something, but like
she's not more it than Margot Robbie.
Yeah, and honestly, that's
But then
also,
we're complaining that it's Margot Robbie. Why does she have to do everything?
Well,
there's no winning in that particular.
But
thing.
you just asked the question, and I just answered it.
No.
So we're getting into a deeper philosophy here, whereas women have a much shorter lifespan in Hollywood than men do.
Yeah.
Because men can remain it men for their whole lives. Once they get that one breakthrough role, that's it. They just age like fine wine. They just get better and better and yada yada. Whereas a lot of women, if they don't continue to keep up with their looks, making themselves look like they're the same age as whenever people first saw them on screen, it's harder and harder for them to catch roles.
Yeah, it's like once you turn like 35, they got you auditioning for like moms.
Yeah, and for them to stay as like it people. Yeah. So like I said, that's going into like a deeper thing.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, like I wanted to explain all of that, but at the end of the day, my biggest pet peeve with it is the fact that she wasn't Peach. Everyone else at least was similar to their original character, but she was generic, strong female tomboy. That's what she was, and that's what really ticked me off.
And I just wanted to pick you because I have a friend who is a voice actor in LA. He's a commercial actor, but he's done like voice stuff, and he posts a lot about just like the trend of feeling like you have to hire big names in order to like get people to see an animated film. And I just think that this is one of those areas where like Mario doesn't need famous people voicing the characters to sell it. So if you can sign up Jack Black and he's doing a good job, cool. But I don't think Anya Taylor-Joy is a name where it's like we got to have her. She's putting butts in the seats, not off of the Menu and Queen's Gambit. And that's not saying she's a bad actress, that's not saying anything about her qualities as an actress. But also at the same time, there is a stark difference between acting where people can see your face and acting where people can only hear you. And are you able to emote in the same way when people can't see you as you can when people can see you? And I think just on the comment of like the it girl, I definitely agree with what Linda was saying. It's like, you read all these articles about people like, it's like, okay, you want to talk about it girls. If we're casting people kind of in that same famous range, we don't have to see the women. So why does it have to be a younger person? Why can't it be a Halle Berry? Why can't it be a Sandra Bullock? Why can't it be like one of these Hollywood it women who we hold up? Why can't it be that if all we're hearing is their voice?
How come the only character that they or the only person they cast as their character that they had to get someone who looked like the character was Peach? Like, why do they have to cast a very?
I don't have a dog in the fight for this, so.
I do though, because I think it's just one of those things where it's whack that you have a
plus size person who always gets overlooked for screen time because they're bigger. Okay, well, they sure as hell could have had a decent enough voice to play Peach.
That seems like an executive choice and not a creative choice to cast Anya Taylor-Joy in that role in that moment, in my personal opinion. That seems like a big dog coming in. Like, we got her, we need to use her because like this, she probably has like a deal with like a studio, and they're like, all right, we're trying to like push her, so now we got to get like other stuff on her resume to expand her out of this like super serious dark element she's trying to cross over. They're going to use Mario to do that.
At the end of the day, too, with everything like all said, like, yeah, it would have been garbage no matter who you put in the role. So it's nothing necessarily against the actress herself. I was merely pointing out.
I definitely saw the push to make her damn near the hero herself, which
they Force Awakened, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely, like, it almost seemed like we could have done the exact same movie without Mario and let Peach have done everything that Mario did, and it would have been the same movie. And if I had any complaint as far as the whole Peach Bowser Mario bit, it would just be that, like, Mario's supposed to be going to save Princess Peach, and of course they're like, well, we're gonna flip that on his head. Now he's there to save his brother.
Which, I mean,
okay, cool. No, and that was one of those, like, okay, cool. Now he has better motivation, and she's not the damsel in distress. But it was also interesting that for all of the showboating they did for her, for all of the hyping her up to show how strong and powerful she was, there was no instance of her actually doing any of that. We saw that she can handle this bike and save these people. She rode off when they got ambushed. She gets back to the Mushroom Kingdom. He shows up, and then, Bowser shows up, and then what? Nothing. They talk, and she quietly agrees to go with him in order to save her people. So all of this stuff that they were like hyping her up to do and showing off and whatnot, ultimately, she didn't do anything. She made a diplomatic decision to agree to this wedding in the effort to save her people, to try to do it with as little, loss of life and whatnot. And then like Toad comes in with the little ice thing, and she like starts kicking a little bit of ass right there. But by that time, the cavalry arrived, so it was still a group effort. So I
will also say that I didn't appreciate, as much as some people probably did, I didn't appreciate the random fan service from Peach in there. Like, no one else changed into their like a skin tight Mario Kart suit to ride their stuff, and then no one had a camera shot that she specifically had and no one else had, that showed her kind of from like below and behind to really get that shot of the skin tight suit and all. Yeah, no, listen, come on, guys. This is a kid's movie. I don't need fan service like that in my kid's movie.
I do know the shot you're talking about, and I thought that was a little weird.
That was a little
now that
weird.
I will agree with. That was a little, but I will say also, like, when I think about like the Mario Kart, and everybody gets to, like, when they go through the kart customizer and everybody gets to decide and make their own kart. Like, I can't think of a time Mario's ever been in anything other than his same outfit. So in fairness to Mario doesn't change clothes. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Super Mario Tennis, he had on shorts, but other than that, I don't think I've ever seen Mario not be in the overalls.
They could have put Peach in like in a different cart. Or just not do that angle.
No, I definitely agree. Like the angle bit when she got back to the kingdom and she like kicked the staff and grabbed it and she was walking outside, that was a weird shot. What was the point of that?
Like, I would have loved to see her when she got back, because they kept her in the outfit as long as they could too. I would have loved to see her when she got back to the castle finally. I know it's busy. There's a lot of stuff going on, but just quickly change back into your dress or whatever, like, and then do some really cool fighting and moves and shit in that. Let's get a little bit, like, we only got one instance where she does the float,
right?
Like in the dress, so she fights in that dress. She didn't need to be in the skin tight motorcycle suit to do her fighting.
I mean, the gripes you have about her were the gripes I had about Luigi. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know all that fan service for Luigi. They're constantly zooming in on his butt.
They just
putting him in all kinds of like lewd outfits.
They did Luigi dirty the whole movie. Like, he did nothing. He contributed nothing except a sewer grate at the end, but he still got the star power.
I think they're saving him as well for more of a role in either a spinoff or a second movie. Same with Yoshi.
Well,
it's still annoying, but yeah.
The little bit of post credit there. I mean, obviously Hollywood just can't write women at all in any shape, fashion, or form.
Not just Hollywood. Too many men think they can write women and they can't. But honestly, it's not even just women too. It's whenever people try and write characters that are different from them completely, and in the writer's room there's not a single person that can represent that character in there. And I know it can be a little difficult when you have like some place with like a ton of different very diverse actors or like roles that are being written. But like honestly, how difficult is it just to get a couple women, get like a little panel, something, and actually listen to them? I think a lot of it is a lot of these people that just like to stroke their own dicks, and they only want other people who are going to stroke their dicks. And if they're not, they don't listen to them.
I mean, there's a very good chance that one or two of the women that do end up in those rooms probably guilty of that same stroking because it's a job for them. And if they feel like they speak up, they're not going to have said job.
Exactly. They only want to surround themselves with people who are going to be sycophants. And these, if whenever they do get people that do fit the demographic they're writing, there's a possibility that they're like, well, I don't want to lose my job. Let me just appeal to them and say, yeah, sure, that's not offensive at all.
Or like they say it, and then the person who has the final say is just like, "Oh, you're just over."
Yeah, they override them. Oh, they're just being a dramatic
woman. Thank
woman.
you for your input.
They're just being a dramatic woman. You know how women are so emotional. Just because men forget that anger is an emotion, and that's what a lot of them have all the time. As the only woman here, David, am I supposed to do the opposite? Right? Like I have the blue smiley face. I need to go in like the red frowny face. Yes, okay, that's right.
So on a 1 to 10, where would you rate the movie? I mean, I don't even think the movie had enough substance to warrant that anyway. Like, because even like the Sonic movies, what I'm saying? I enjoyed those, but like, okay, that story's been told. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I guess to be fair, as far as like rewatchability, I don't really rewatch movies like that. Sometimes I'll get like an itch and I'll go back and rewatch something I haven't seen in like years. But the only thing I tend to like rewatch are like TV shows. And that's more of like just like a background noise thing and a comfort thing.
I would say for me, like rewatching a movie is typically going to be, I was flipping and, oh, wow. Or something came up, and it is so crazy sometimes for me to like catch myself watching something that I've seen before randomly after however long.
Like before like streaming and all that, and you were watching just more like cable TV or whatever.
Right.
I tend to rewatch more movies then just because it's something that's on and I need to watch something right now. But yeah, I guess, overall, I mean, that's my biggest gripe. And like I said, absolutely nothing against the actress herself, get your money. But I do fully believe that Princess Peach would have sucked just as badly, even the best actress you could even think of to put on there because of the way that they directed and wrote her character.
Gotcha. All right. Well, duly noted. And fingers crossed that at some point they do better. Maybe in the sequel they're
going to keep the same thing. They don't care about me.
I mean, I would certainly, like, this would be one of those things I would certainly try to go in, and I'm always looking for understanding. Anything that if you have a take that doesn't resonate with me, if it doesn't make sense to me, I'm all about like trying to understand. I need to see like, what am I missing? Not necessarily what's wrong with my brain, but
it's
like,
just trying to get a different point of view.
Right. Why do I not see the point you're making?
Like I can tend to be like slightly overcritical, or at least what people would think that I'm overcritical of female roles, especially as well as minority roles. But considering I am a female and a minority, I want better for us. I don't want parts or roles that are just like, written as just like we think this is what you like, but we're not actually going to put any effort into the character. Definitely not nearly as much effort as we put into, the male characters or the white characters. Like I don't. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of like if you have something that's like an established. What do you call it? An established thing or whatever. I can't think of the word off the top of my head. There you go. IP. And you go through and start changing up things like, okay, this person's going to be this race. This person's going to be this gender. We're changing all these things around, blah, blah, blah. I don't want that. Like for me, myself, I don't want like you to change a character that is established as a different race to being Mexican so you can have that quota in there. That just feels so disrespectful. Like,
I get that.
Give me a new character. Why can't I have my own character? I've
constantly made the reference to like sometimes when they race swap or gender swap characters, it does feel more like pandering and less about representation or true diversity. Like, we were talking about something the other day, and I was like, well, they had all those boxes because it had nothing to do with the you know what? Because we go get the Power Rangers in a second. And there was absolutely no need. It was just like, I get it, but what? I was okay. And that's one of those moments where it's like, I feel conflicted because it's like, I don't want to take anyone's representation away, But when you do it in a way that's just so blatantly done to be able to say, like, see, and now we can get the now we can get the alphabet crowd too, because they'll be on board. See, we and it's like
I've already completely given up hope of ever seeing like any kind of decent and respectful representation of like me on screen. So I guess it's a little hard for me to empathize with people who are like, oh, I never saw someone like me on screen growing up as kid. Neither did I. I've always been a fat Hispanic girl. When's the last time you saw a fat Hispanic girl be the lead role of something that's not like some like stupid, like goofy sidekick?
I mean, I definitely understand, and of course that's where some people really have a hard time with understanding representation as a whole. So I absolutely get, and I'm not even one to be like we'll take it wherever we can get it. No, it still needs to be good, and I dislike pandering. So I understand exactly where you're coming from with that.
I will say, despite what I just said there, I do understand that it does help some people. Just because I'm never going to see it doesn't mean that someone else shouldn't be able to see that. But I will say that for those who are upset because we're not changing enough IPs, are just re-releasing and regurgitating with more forced diversity, that it's okay. It's okay. If anything, don't push for, hey, you re-release this, why didn't you make the characters more diverse? Say, hey, instead of re-releasing this thing, why don't you make a new thing that already has diversity in it, that's already based around those things, and put as much effort into it as you would something that was originally designed as less diverse, or better yet, someone pitches you something that stars in an all like white skinny cast, and tell them, listen, for us to do this, we're going to change up all the characters. We're not going to cast your generic space marine as a generic white space marine. We're going to cast them as something different. And it's going to be
then you end up with Velma, and we still have shit to complain about.
Velma got screwed up because of Mindy, but we're not going to talk about that right now.
Right, but that's how you take a group of skinny white people and still find a way to fuck it up.
Well, that's the thing, though. Velma was another classic representation of let's take this thing and let's pander to the minorities.
Yeah.
Let's take something that already that's been written but hasn't been produced or made, and turn it into something that is more diverse.
It's easier to take something that has an established audience and run with that, as opposed to trying to come up with something new. Like I can part of me understands the difficulty that must exist with that. We have ideas all the time, and yet it's just finding a way to take what's out there and done wrong and improve upon that. Coming up with something completely original that's not overly influenced by something that exists to a point where it's like you run the risk of infringement or copyright issues, or something along those lines, can actually be pretty difficult. Now, there's plenty of people out there who tell stories, and if you change enough, you can do it in a way that, I think about the joke I've seen 100 times. It's like Harry Potter is Star Wars with bad lightsabers. You know what I'm saying? And you hear the guy give the little breakdown, and it's like, wow, that actually fits really well. But it's also because it's a generic hero's journey. It's every shonen. You know what I'm saying? It's like certain things are just going to fall into certain categories and work that way because that's how they work.
Yeah, you just put a new skin on it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
literally sometimes
it's a little weird, and it doesn't make a lot of sense because it's set in Germany. It's a German thing. And I'm absolutely all for more Hispanic representation. I don't think we have enough in media, period. We're the minority of minorities, despite the fact that, we're a pretty big population, and, it sucks. But at the same time,
but it's
I think on the diversity front, it's kind of one of those things where it's like there's two minds about it, right? I think that I definitely agree that you don't have to take everything when you remake everything or do stuff and just be like, I'm completely changing this character, right? I think, with comics, we've had this kind of discussion with like the difference between a character and a mantle, and mantles can be passed between different races because they're two different people. So like Captain America Sam Wilson is not Captain America Steve Rogers, even though they're both Captain America. People had a hard time wrapping their brain around that sometimes, but I think that that's also very different than like looking at a character who is like white and clearly like their whiteness does play a role in how that character moves and operates. Like you're not making a black Great Gatsby, you know what I mean? Because you got to look at the time period. You got to look at what actually happens in the story.
Don't give people ideas. I'm sure they try and rework it. To make
well, no, I will say I'm all for black remakes of stuff now. The Wiz, I love. Polly, I love. I honestly wish like more musicals did get remade with like all black cast, all Latino cast, all Asian cast.
And that's where you and I differ. I don't want them to take a white only cast of something or mostly white cast of something and change it into all Latino cast or all Hispanic cast. I don't want that. I'd rather us have our own musical.
I'll take the black one because the music's gonna be different too. Like and I think that's my point too. With like the Wiz. The Wiz is the Black Wizard of Oz, but they're not singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. They're not singing Follow the
singing brand new.
You know, I wouldn't want it even if they changed the move or the music to, be more Hispanic or whatever. I still don't want it because I'm like, I don't want the scraps of the white man. I'm sorry.
I feel you. I'm just talking about what I would like and what I do like. And I think that, but I do get that too, because the other part of it is sometimes when they do change stuff, they just change the skin, but it's like black people can't move like that sometimes. And so it's like, you gotta actually, I think it goes back to like the ethos of like, write what you know. And like you said with Peach, it definitely, I mean, I guess I haven't seen the movie, but I'm going to take from your word that it felt like a woman who was written by a man. And I think that the more that I have been trying to be aware of those things by like trying to listen to women and what they say about certain characters and how they're portrayed, I definitely have started being able to see and understand like, okay, like, yeah, that sounds crazy. That a dude definitely wrote that. A man definitely wrote that based off of his own perspective about women. And I think if a woman wrote this, it would be a completely like different perspective, even if it's the same quote unquote story. But it just comes down to like people needing to also learn how to support things where it's like how you were saying, people are like, oh, I never saw myself on screen. And it's like, yeah, okay, so what? For like the first 100 years or first 50 years of movies being made in America, like nobody saw themselves on screen except for like white people. And yet other people are able to go and watch stories, enjoy them, take from it what they will without having to like see a direct avatar of themselves on the screen. And I'm just be frank about it. White people have a hard time doing that because they have lived in the country so long where everything about culture is catered to them and their experience and their perspective. Anything that's not from that perspective is seen as other. And so unless it's like a historical movie, a slave movie or something where they can go to a history book and see it, they don't understand them. They don't understand a movie like Juice. Just like Four Boys. Juice is basically a black Lean on Me to a degree, right? If you want to talk about it, it's like four friends, they go on a crazy adventure. The setting is different. The stakes are a little bit crazier.
Stand By Me.
Oh, Stand By Me, not Lean on Me. Yeah, my bad. Stand By Me. But
I had to think about it. I was like, yeah, Lean on Me. Wait, no, that's not.
Yeah. Stand By Me. But coming of age stories, you know what I mean? Like, and that's a universal story. You should be able to look at four black boys in America and see that story and not feel like I don't
not
get
feel
it.
like
It's not
not feel like it's some like big like crazy.
It's not from a foreign land
kind of thing. Yeah. And like that is something that I feel like that is definitely a huge problem in America. And that ends up becoming a huge problem worldwide because of how, American media is very prominent in like worldwide media.
And it doesn't matter especially because they were like, oh, we don't know how Black Panther is going to do worldwide. And then Black Panther like blows it out of the water in America and worldwide. And then it's still like, we don't know how black superheroes are going to play. And it's like, all right, bro, like you guys say you're all about analytics. You say you're all about evidence. You say you're all about, you have to show us. And then when people do it, it's still not good enough. And so just say, we just want to make white stuff. And that's cool. And that's why I'm kind of on the board of, I'm on I'm on the stance of like, if y'all don't want to make it, fine. Somebody will make it, and y'all will just miss out on that money, and you're gonna be kicking yourselves.
It causes more and more separation as well, and that's, I mean, honestly, as the older generations continue to get older and die out, we'll see more and more diversity actually actively written into it from the beginning, which would be very nice. But until then, we got to deal with this garbage. But no, like in general, yeah, it ends up, coming from, being, half white and half Mexican. I do have my foot kind of in both of those. It was definitely something where if it's not your race, if they look too different from you, it's a completely different world. And there's a lot of lack of empathy that's there. They're like people in different races to a lot of white people, obviously hashtag not all white people, but a lot of white people are different. They're not people. They're not people like them. And that even goes to that even applies to people who tend to white knight.
Yeah.
Like that's because they're not seeing you as people. It's dehumanizing.
Yeah.
They think they're doing it for the right reasons, but it's dehumanizing either way.
It's like you try to, and it's like even in like spaces like this or not this, but like when you're talking about geek culture, movies, things, music, stuff like that. And it's just like I remember I had a conversation in college, and there was these girls, and then like these white girls on my freshman floor, and they're like, "Oh, we love rom-coms." I'm like, "Oh yeah, me too." And so we talking about When Harry Met Sally, we talking about Forget Paris, we talking about Groundhog Day, and then I'm like, "Yeah, my favorite is Boomerang," and they're like, "What's that?" And then I'm like naming like all these black rom-coms, and then I'm like, "So you guys don't like rom-coms? You guys like white rom-coms?" And they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" I was like, "Well, these are all movies that are romantic comedies, but Hollywood markets them as black movies. When you go to Netflix and you watch one, you get any and every black. It doesn't just give you black rom-coms. It's just like any and every black. It's like you can watch Breaking All the Rules, and then it'll be like Juice.
You might like Held Up. Like Held Up.
Someone who was raised in what would be stereotypically called like a white household, because my mom's the one who's white, and my dad has, like, my brothers and I weren't really raised with any kind of like Mexican culture, unfortunately. And I've been catching up on a lot of it like in my adult years. But that being said, I'm 34 now. So I'm pretty well caught up with a lot of stuff. But yeah, like, obviously I'm in an interracial relationship and with a completely different culture on top of it, because David's not just black, he's Jamaican American. So it's a whole other thing on top of it.
Rude boy.
So like one of the things that I've asked David, and he can back me up on this throughout the relationship, is just to share with me parts of his culture, parts of like, what it was for him growing up, things that like movies that mean a lot to him, or like, books or TV shows, whatever, food, like all of it. It's like there's a lot of stuff that like, I'll tell David like, no, I never saw that. And he's like, you never saw, like, he'd be so surprised. But then, on the same end, I'd say, you've never seen this, because I used to watch, like, I'm a big musical person. My mom also really loves older media. So like, I grew up watching stuff like the original, or not even the original Annie, but the one from like the 80s, I want to say.
Yeah.
Gotten in the like an 89 or something, almost as old as me. And I grew up watching like Carol Burnett, who was also in Annie, but just like old shows, MASH, and what do you call it? I Love Lucy. But she didn't really care for I Love Lucy by the time I was old enough to watch stuff like that with her. But anyway, so yeah, it's a whole thing of like, David's never seen any of those, and I've shared a few things with him, but at the same time too,
Right.
I don't expect him to sit down and watch a lot of these things, because they can be a little outside of his realm of things that he's comfortable with, or would give a shit about. But
And
yeah,
I'm
like
cool with that too. And it's like, I feel like it's one of them things where it's like, my issue is when people are like, "Oh, I'm an expert in this," and it's like, well, you're an expert in a subcategory of this. Yeah. And that was kind of the conversation I was having with those girls, because they were just like, yeah,
as well, because otherwise it's like the pot calling the kettle black kind of type of deal, where like you grew up watching only your culture media type of stuff, and they grew up only watching their culture media type stuff. You can't really blame them either way, because now the blame can eventually come into play whenever they're given this opportunity to watch these, or someone has brought it up and like they've made this realization, and they still are like, you know what, I'm going to continue with the bigotry my parents taught me. That's where it ends up.
Some of the access we have to content today, it is like fewer and fewer excuses available.
Oh, yeah.
Because just like Jeff said, and rom-coms is a great example. If you only know this section of rom-coms and you don't know that section of rom-coms, then you can't really say like, oh, I love rom-coms. I watch not Lifetime. I watch the Hallmark Channel all the time. Like
I mean, I don't know.
if that's the extent of your access, well, here's a whole list of movies.
I think they could still say that, but whenever someone points out, oh, well, you haven't seen this, or this, or they're like, oh, well, you've only seen rom-coms in this category, or like, whatever. And they say, and they because like, if it's someone who really likes that category, they're going to be excited no matter what. They're like, oh my God, there's new stuff for me to watch.
15 new movies that I've never heard of.
But like I said, if they're like, I want to keep being a racist piece of shit like my parents taught me to be, I want to pretend like I'm from that's like, that's where it ends up getting like really bad. But I mean, honestly, same goes for literally everyone. Like,
dude, I think I gave you we watched clips of it, not the
we watched the whole thing. We sat down and
we watched the movie, not the play.
The movie, not the play. I know you prefer the Medea plays
yeah
over the movies, but remember we couldn't find the play at the time because we were just watching it on our TV in our bedroom. But like, yeah, like David's also like we've sat down and watched a few different things that like I either like I may have watched, but it was kind of in passing for stuff when I was just by myself. Because like growing up, I always liked watching like different things my parents wouldn't let me watch because I'm like, this looks like fun. I'm still playing Final Fantasy. But yeah, so like David, what was the one with the really long title?
You got
something about like not doing something. The Menace one. That's it.
Oh, don't be a menace in South Central while drinking your juice.
That was like one of the first movies we watched together that like I had seen once when I was young, and I only got to see like parts of it because it was just playing on TV, and I had to like sneak watching it, with my parents.
And that's one of those hard ones too, because it's like if you haven't seen like Juice, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, like it's funny, but it's funnier if you have
that context,
all the context and stuff. Because it's like Damon Wayans coming in saying message. It doesn't mean anything if you don't know even like some of the conversations that happened around those movies, like when they came out. So no, I feel you on that. I think it's just like people should be more open. I think it's like if you watch it and you don't like it, cool. Because there's rom-com. I like rom-coms, but there's definitely rom-coms I watched from like I'm not a big Sleepless in Seattle guy. I'm actually not a big Tom Hanks rom-com.
Honestly,
guy,
I'm not a rom-com person myself. Period. I've got a couple that I liked growing up, but now I'm old and bitter. And I hate all of them. I hate all of them equally. I don't care who made them. I hate them. It's rom-com, go away.
And I think like Boomerang was always my example because it's like Eddie Murphy was like one of the biggest stars in the world, and in terms of like crossover as well in America. So it's like, and and having certain conversations, I think with not older, but like kind of that next generation up, like aunts, uncles of my age. It's like. You look at the box office, like that movie was like supported in theaters by more than just Black people, but it's not one of those movies that like, it's one of those movies where I think a lot of like maybe our parents and aunts and uncles would have on TV once it came out on like TV and be playing on like a BET or whenever, and in other households, it wasn't. So if you were like a little kid when Boomerang came out and you didn't see it in theaters, like culturally, like you weren't necessarily in spaces where you were going to be able to like pick up on that either.
Yeah.
But it's like everybody's seen Beverly Hills Cop.
I haven't, but I don't really like those kinds of movies. But I will say, like, I've whenever you kept saying Boomerang, all I could think of was that like that Cartoon Network spinoff channel, because I have no idea what that. But you can go right after. Okay.
I am requesting officially. You know what? I will find something else because you stated you don't like rom-coms.
I don't really care. Rom-coms.
Do you like comedies?
I like comedies. I will say I don't like rom-coms. I don't like action movies. Action movies are boring, and rom-coms are unrealistic. And like I said, I'm a bitter person.
So I'm just going to put Boomerang in as a comedy. I think the comedy aspect alone stands up.
I think you'll hate Eddie Murphy. I don't know if that's the right movie for Linda to watch. I'm gonna be real. Like, my wife actually like does not really like that movie because of how it ends, and I understand why. It's definitely like it's definitely like a man wrote this ending, And
Well, like I can kind of understand. Like I give a little bit of leeway for like older media when it comes to being like with like just like microaggressions for racism or sexism or homophobia, like mostly because it's depending on what it is, obviously. But it was a different time kind of situation. And yes, if that kind of thing was kind of like came out like right now, I absolutely would be like, you bitches know better, so
Right.
stop it. But
I will say Halle Berry slaps the shit out of Eddie Murphy. So even if you want to see that,
Hub should have brought your ass home last night. Like, I've watched that movie so many times. So yes,
Kirby,
Kirkster.
I will tell you though that it wasn't hard for David to get me to watch The Diary of a Mad Black Woman because of a certain actor that's in there. But you know,
yeah,
despite how bad his wig was, it's fine.
So where we going?
That's how I knew. That's how I knew he was good looking, because I was like, if you can wear a wig that bad and women still want you,
It was because I knew who she was. So it was easy then to remember who
I don't know
was
why
who.
they're fighting those guys. Let's go.
Because it was like, oh,
It's a
yeah.
sprout.
If you is Boris Kojo and you're not married to Nicole Laurie Parker, okay, so yeah, that's the other guy there. That was
I knew
that
who Shamar Moore was because I used to watch Soul Train a lot in the 90s, and
I
it was
just watched
pelvic,
Criminal
pelvic
Minds.
thrusting every Saturday morning.
I found the actress. I sent that little link in our chat just so you can see, and something just like jumps out at me, and I have kind of a problem with that, but kind of not a problem with that. Because it's one of those things where it's like, I think I see what they're going for, and technically, there we go. Boris Kojo was, I mean,
Listen, you know what? Then you can have this Boris person, okay? I'll take Shamar Moore, and he can call me baby girl every morning. I mean, that's fine. I'll take that life.
now it
As
is
long
very.
as David is there too, obviously. David, I love you. There's room in the bed.
So the new actress is Ziegler, most recently seen in Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and West Side Story.
That's what I know her from. She played Maria. Man, that was sorry, I'm not even going.
It was honestly still a better remake than Annie. And I was so disappointed in Annie. That had so much good potential, and it was so bad.
See, that was one of those ones where they should have just did a black version with all new black music and stop trying to.
That's the biggest problem. They couldn't. They were so schizophrenic with it. They weren't sure if they wanted to make it do its own thing, or have it be like more of just a more modern take on the original. And so they kept going back and forth. And because of that, none of it really got the love or attention it needed. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Crap. Okay. So yeah, none of it really got the love or attention that it needed. And so it ended up just becoming very lackluster, which is a shame because the actress that plays Annie is extremely talented.
Yeah.
This is the Jamie Foxx one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't really have an opinion on Jamie Foxx, but honestly, I didn't really get super far in the movie. So I will kind of give a little note there. I did not finish the Annie movie. I could not, and there are very few movies that I just can't finish. That was one of them. I think I have less than like 5 movies in my life that I'm like, nope, this is so bad I can't finish it. That was one of them. But Annie is also something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. It was one of like my first musicals. So for them to mess that up so badly was just so sad.
Well, I think one of the interesting points in this upcoming Disney Snow White movie, Gal Gadot is going to be the queen, and Rachel Ziegler. I mean, I think
honestly, I like I said, I haven't really cared. Like the Disney live action remakes have all been kind of awful for a little while now.
Right. Well, the picture I sent, I wanted to, something stuck out in my mind, and I was just wondering if there's anything to that. Am I just like seeing what I want to see or whatnot? But like, given that she's playing the character of Snow White, even when I go through her photo gallery, and this is just the photos that they have available on just IMDb, when you look at her photo.
Yeah.
And this is going to come out just the way it's going to come out. I think the most color I've seen on her is in Shazam, and it just seems that it could be a lighting thing even then.
What, as far as like having her be a lighter color?
Right. Like what I mean, like, okay, so if you take her look from West Side Story, she does have like that dark hair, those ruby red lips, and that very, very fair complexion.
It's fair for a Hispanic woman.
Which gives, but the stark contrast between the dark features, the dark eyebrows, the dark hair, and those bright red lips, it comes across as very Snow Whitish.
But I mean, the thing is, though, like she's still it's not Snow White. Like, it still doesn't work. I can get the same way. Like, I haven't seen the sun in years, and I am a similar skin tone to her. Trust me, I look very, very white in certain lighting and all of that. But like, and same thing. I've got the darker colored lips, the all of the whole things. That being said, I'm obviously not trying to cast myself or anything. But at the same time, though, that's not like it can be done otherwise, and it doesn't make any sense because it's Snow White.
Yeah.
And it's just
plus they already did a live action on Once Upon a Time. And
it's like whenever they cast Emma Watson as Belle and made her dirty blonde.
Oh my God.
Instead of a
she
brunette.
Was so
like that was such God, like, okay, Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite Disney movies, right? Because Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid. Yeah. And like, you got Emma Watson with slightly dirty hair being Emma Watson, and they nerfed so much of Belle's personality in that stupid movie. I hated it. That's why I don't really have a lot of confidence in Little Mermaid. I'm probably not even going to watch it. But it's been like the Disney live action movies have been so horrible. I'm done. I'm done with them.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of the, dare I say, live action like remakes, if you will, because I think about that Cinderella 2020.
Didn't they?
It was like 2022.
Yeah.
That one was not too long ago. And that singer from Fifth Harmony.
That wasn't Disney though. That wasn't Disney.
True.
They did. It was a long time ago. It was like the first one.
Well, the Cinderella one that I remember from Disney was Brandy. Whitney.
No. That's a different one.
That's the ABC one.
That's Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, which is based on
that's a
Broadway
different Cinderella.
Play. They did do a Cinderella live action of the basically the movie version as well, but this was back in like 2013 or something like that.
That was one of their first live actions that they did. I think
it was after like Alice in Wonderland. It was around the same time when they did the Johnny Depp Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, you want to talk about someone who can sport the ruby red lips and the dark hair and the extremely pale, actually pale, paper white, Snow White skin? Anne Hathaway. And I'm not saying cast Anne Hathaway as Snow White. I think she is too old for the role, but it can be done. Women like that exist.
I mean, if we put Anya Taylor, could have put her in that.
There you go.
Dye her hair.
Put a wig on her, I don't
know. I feel like that's just you've provided reason why not her, why not that IP. You know what I'm saying? Given that it's Snow White, we don't want that story. But it's like one thing about and I'm not gonna say I'm completely on board with remakes, but one of the things I'm beginning to understand with remakes is as times change, people have a hard time relating to certain things from the past. As much as I enjoy Goonies and can sit and watch Goonies, my kids like suffered through that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I was never a big fan of Goonies,
and for me, it holds more nostalgia than anything because, of course, there's a lot of stuff that's in those older movies that are very problematic and they don't fly today. You know what I'm saying? But of course, I grew up in one of those times where it was like, you know what? If you got picked on, it built character. You get over it. Now you pick on somebody, you're a bully, and it is a different time.
Then too, we just recognize it now.
Well, no, we do something about it now. We don't let it continue, and But nonetheless, it's like if you are this actress and they offer this role, like, do you not go out and audition for it? Do you hold out to find that right thing? Because on the one hand, there's work and there's like the opportunity to put something on screen that doesn't exist. But if the backlash,
I mean, it's a double. Yeah, it's like one. We should be upset with the executives in the studios who do these things, right? Like they're the ones that are making these choices to consistently like not allow underrepresented communities to be able to tell their own stories. So those people have to feel like, okay, now I have to go in and I have to go play their game in order to do it. It's so hard to be an actress. It's so hard to get any opportunities where if you get a big opportunity like that, you know what's going to come with it eventually. Like there's not a lot of buzz about this movie yet because everybody's still mad about Little Mermaid being black and Tinkerbell being black. And as soon as they find out Snow White is not white, they'll be on her too next. But it's like you got to be mad at the studios, but then there is an element of personal responsibility. It's like Hollywood Shuffle, right? Like Robert Townsend made that movie because he didn't like the kinds of auditions he was being sent on to play pimps and coons and all these kind of like degrading black characters, and the whole ethos of the movie is like there's always work at the post office, right? So he's kind of calling on actors to preserve their dignity and just like go get work somewhere else. But like you can't tell somebody that if they're following their passion and their dream, and then this is what they get handed. It's like it's a hard thing to ask somebody to pass up.
There is still a certain level of responsibility that they need to take, and if not, then they need to deal with the backlash of dealing with the fact that they're kind of a horrible person. Even when it comes to that, like Scarlett Johansson is probably the worst / best example of that. Worse than she is absolutely a horrible person, but best because she has taken it to the extreme. Not just with taking like controversial roles, including of course the probably one of the more popular ones, the
Ghost
I don't know
in
what
the
I'm talking about. Which one I'm talking about? What is that one called?
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, yeah. But doubling down on it, saying, "Oh, I'm an actress, so if I need to play someone who's this, this, and this, then I can play them, and if not, then that's not my, then I'm not doing my job." Blah blah blah. Listen, stop it. You're stupid. All right, that's just it. At the end of the day, you're stupid. That being said, I've never liked Scarlett Johansson anyway, and it seems I was right to not like her all along because she is a horrible person.
Your personal feelings aren't gonna make me think that she's not a good actress. She does have some questionable stuff, and there are, and this is part of this is me playing devil's advocate and whatnot, and there's a.
I think she's an actress. I don't think she's like some amazing whatever.
No, I'm not gonna
she's an actress. She's not like she definitely is overrated in my opinion, but she was just an it girl for a while is all it is.
Well, I mean, everybody knows the problem. She was playing an Asian female, but she was playing an Asian female who was designed to look like an American woman. So technically, she would have been playing herself. The character. And of course, like there's that whole scene. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert. There's a whole scene where she goes back to visit her original house of who she was when she was human, et cetera, et cetera. And so then you come to realize that, like, if you didn't already know going in, you come to realize that, like, oh, she is an Asian woman. What? And so, of course, there was that whole bit thing. A conversation arose from that, and it was, in a sense, the confusing nature sometimes of what we are to understand to be versus what we see. In anime, for the untrained, like David, don't let me trip on this. Anime, a lot of times for the untrained, can be very confusing because the character models and the character designs are not always, shall we say, clear.
Right.
There is a reason that they are drawn the way they are drawn, and it is oftentimes for a more general appeal, but that's also why you have characters with pink hair, blue hair, green hair. They have these weird, wild hairstyles because they're not.
Are you talking about the fact that all of them, like most anime characters, have the exact same face aside from maybe a slightly different eye color or eye shape, different eye color and different hair color?
No, it's not that. I mean, like to touch it on the nose, it's that most anime characters look white. You can't definitive. Okay, like if you pull up an image of Tanjiro, for example, from Demon Slayer, you can't look at Tanjiro if it wasn't for his name. You know what I'm saying? Naruto Uzumaki. You know what I'm saying? Like you can pick up these names sometimes, and that will be the clear indication. Or if you see something and like they talk about where they live, da 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 da. Obviously, these Japanese characters, these are Chinese characters, these are Asian characters. So it's like clearly these are Asian people that you're looking at. But sometimes because they look a particular way, you can't.
And Sailor Moon's a great example of that.
Well, there you and
Usagi absolutely looks like your stereotypical, American girl. But like I'll do you one better, Sam. I'll take it a step further. A lot of the times in anime and including JRPG type games, whenever they do create people of different races or at least of different skin colors, specifically of darker skin colors, they don't adopt the facial features.
Yeah.
The facials, they always have little tiny, cute, little almost non-existent noses. They always have very small, thin, delicate lips, all that kind of stuff. But they have, but their skin is really dark. There's our representation. Here's our black character. How come they have the actresses that are quote unquote more desirable or more popular are ones who have very Eurocentric standards of beauty? But that
Priyanka
continues to
Chopra.
be. I think that's a big part of representation as well. You're going to give me representation. Give me believable representation. Give me actual diversity. Don't just say, "Oh, well, we added new skin colors in," but you didn't add any kind of different hairstyles for different textures.
There was something I was playing. There was a game I played.
That's why everybody should be a fan of Star Trek. They get it all right.
Star Trek's gotten it right from, or almost right from the beginning. There's still a lot of misogyny in the earlier Star Treks, but regardless,
Yes,
they fixed a lot of it as they.
oh, they
continue to
have.
move
They've seen it and they've course corrected. No pun intended. Yeah, they've fixed it.
Hey,
Yeah, like
set phasers to fix, right?
exactly. You know how much I would kill for Final Fantasy 14 to add in different textured hairstyles and not just like, oh, well, here's a fro and here's some dreads. Give me something in between too. Let me put my hair in the game. And yes, I can have my hair look like a white woman's. I just need to apply styling and heat to it. But like, you know, I want something where like what my hair looks like on a regular basis. I just wash and wear.
There was something I played recently, and I was doing the customization or the character creation, and I was like, wow, because the hair selection. Actually, you know what? It was
David gets pissed off. Pokemon.
Samurai game. No, hold on. It was a new samurai game that was just added to Game Pass.
David?
Wulong, yes.
Yeah.
Wulong had an impressive array of customization. And one of the other things I thought was really, really cool is like, I feel like almost all of the hair options were open for all of the characters. It wasn't like men's hair, women's hair. It was like, here's the hair selection. And even some of the dreads, they had like a couple of different styles. They did, I'm thinking about like they didn't have a cornrows option, but I think for the time period it would have been appropriate. So I get it. No cornrows. But I was able to make a very believable character, and I was very pleased and just shocked that there were as many options as there were. So that was definitely a plus. I would say keep an eye on the not Cinderella, but the Snow White thing. But you know what? Probably not, because it's another live action. I mean, just because it's going to continue to be something that I think is good. It's going to bring up more controversy. And I'm curious, and I want to see how it plays out. And I want to know if the colorism plays a part in this.
David,
as well.
the healer's dead.
But that's a topic for another day.
I can't do anything either.
So shout out to everyone who jumped in and checked us out. Jeff, I would have given you a whole spotlight, but as you had indicated, you haven't seen Mario Brothers.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see it. I'm taking my son to see it next week with my little son.
We'll touch back on it a little later, and maybe by next week we'll get around. Actually, I don't even know that Dungeons and Dragons needs a major review. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of stuff I can point to and be like, ooh.
I'd rather do our own.
Yeah, I mean,
not Arcane. Oh, there's another
Box.
Amazon.
There's one on. I think I'm down to. Like I've been saying for a while in GROWNAGEEKS. I talked with the kid, and we're gonna put together a one shot. We're gonna pre-make some characters and have like Dragon Age. Absolutely.
Yeah, D&D-esque, very much so.
Yeah.
Of D&D, but I feel like it's almost impossible to do the basis as an adult or the
it is once you get into the it's scheduling just like anything else, and I don't have to fight trying to get 2 or 3 days a week locked off.
Like,
so
I know
our
David,
session 0 will probably be like a midday Sunday or something. It'll probably be a Wednesday when we come in here and get together and do it. But my son is going to pre-make some characters, and he will let you choose already made up.
Make me a character that's just the most generic. Make me Princess Peach from the Mario movie. There you go. That's the most generic female character.
I'm gonna make you Rachel Zegler from.
No, she at least has some spice. There's some tahini thrown on there at least.
So I don't know. I'm looking at that like that one. I did find another photo where the two of them are together, and it was like, okay, that seems like that could work. She looks like she would be her stepmom. But you know what? I'm shocked it wasn't like Jenny Ortega as Snow White. You know,
you want to talk about an it girl? It's everywhere right now. It's her. Not that I don't mind her. You know, cool, whatever. But like, you know, she's just the latest crush that everyone has on the brooding brunette. It was Aubrey Plaza for a while. Now it's Jenna Ortega.
No, it's still Aubrey Plaza. Like she has
Aubrey Plaza still gets has her fanboys.
Yeah, I was about to say it's still her.
But no one has.
Actually,
Like,
she's in a movie right now that just came out. It's her, Jason Statham. Who else was in it?
Right. So hashtag she is still in movies, but no one's talking about this stuff. No one's talking about Aubrey Plaza anymore. Not aside from like a passing thing of she comes up in conversation. Oh my God, I love her. She's my spirit animal. And then that's it.
I specifically put shit in my queue because she was in it. So I guess I fall into that fanboy category.
Like I said, I like her as an actress for the most part. I mean, it's kind of a one-trick pony kind of thing, but like,
Yeah. I'm like, are you like this?
Like, honestly, I was watching. I've been rewatching.
I think it's like you need that kind of character.
Well, enough.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing.
Do a regular Tonight Show interview.
No, I think
I was rewatching. I've been rewatching Glow recently, and there's a character in Glow that's pretty much just. I guarantee you, they wrote for her character as far as how they wanted her to act like Aubrey Plaza. That was it, because that's how she. And on top of it, she looks almost exactly like Aubrey Plaza.
Probably based on or something like that.
It's probably a huge inspo at least. It does also star. Oh God, what's her name? There it is, Alison Brie. Yeah, I was gonna say BoJack and Community. Like that's speaking of which, that kind of falls into what we were talking about before about taking roles because they're either you audition for them or they're offered to you, even whenever it's of a different race or demographic than you actually are. And that's Alison Brie as I can't do names today. Her character in BoJack was Asian, and
Diane.
that was a bit of a Diane. I remember the last name, the Nguyen, but Diane Nguyen, and she does a great job. Like but on top of it, she does a great job with it. But at the same time, like it could have gone to an Asian actress. On top of it, it could have gone to an actual Vietnamese actress specifically. So as wonderful as an actress as I think she is, I also think that she just plays a certain personality type as well, and that's kind of her thing.
I think the
only time you need to be playing other races if you're doing something like what Robert Downey Jr. did in Tropic Thunder, where you're making a commentary on how stupid it is for you to think that you should be playing somebody who is a color who you are not. Exactly. Other than that, just like go sit down.
Yeah. I mean, I was about to say, I think it is I won't say the exception to that, but it's like if it wasn't for the fact that Family Guy has like such a very small voice cast, the guy that's been doing Cleveland at this point, it's like it sounds weird for anybody else to do Cleveland. And the first couple of episodes, I get it, but that was something that should have been corrected a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And it has gone into a really like weird place. But then on the other hand, it's like you should kind of already know you're watching Seth MacFarlane and not expect much from him. So like you're kind of, you can't like I don't watch Family Guy.
If you watch the Orville though, I feel like he got a lot of that stuff right, but he is using Star Trek as a template. So it's like,
well, keep in mind too, like Seth MacFarlane is one of those people who, at least I've noticed throughout his career, that he's open to learning whenever he's wrong and correcting those mistakes,
right,
as best he can. So obviously not all the time, but as best he can. He tends to be like, and on top of it, he tends to be open-minded with people that he networks with and talks to. So there's like the whole thing of him having the actual devil on Family Guy one time. He had Rush Limbaugh, and with Seth MacFarlane being such a huge, liberal, that was like such a big thing. It's like actually the only episode of Family Guy I think my dad ever watched because it had Rush Limbaugh on it. And unfortunately, it's one of the things that that side of the political spectrum tends to do, is take advantage of people who don't know better. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. We're not trying to get into politics like that. But it just goes to show that like Seth MacFarlane is one of those people who tends to be more open-minded overall, even for stuff that he is against, unless it's something that's like very obviously kind of against thing. But yeah, if that makes any sense. I know I don't always get my points across super well.
It does make sense, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, because and this kind of goes back to what we were saying as far as voice acting. The character of Cleveland Brown has such a unique sound that I don't hear Cleveland Brown's voice and think to myself, that's how black guys talk.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, it's that like, you know, it's like, okay, I'm fine with Cleveland Brown sounding like that because that's just what Cleveland sounds like.
Yeah, that's what he's always sounded like.
But then when you get to the Cleveland show, okay, that's better. Now we have some voice acting that sounds more what I would expect it to sound like. And it's not like there was
except from him,
because it's still Seth MacFarlane being Seth MacFarlane.
Oh,
and
okay,
Cleveland Brown being Cleveland Brown.
Can I give a hot take, but not hot take?
Well, let me throw this one last party.
Go ahead.
You got Kevin Michael Richardson on payroll. I need more than just Jerome. Kevin Michael Richardson is like, that is a very well-known voice actor. So he just regulated to Jerome. And even the character of Jerome is like played for laughs. So it's just like, that could have been Cleveland Brown. And Cleveland would have had a spinoff. Anyway, what's your hot take? And we're going to wrap.
Okay. So Mila Kunis walked so that Aubrey Plaza could run. Because Mila Kunis, not quite as brooding as Aubrey Plaza, but it's that it just overly sassy, slightly broody brunette, especially when it comes to one that has a deeper voice. It's a very, very specific flavor, and they're the same flavor.
I mean, I can see it. They definitely all are in that like dark hair, white lady, brooding vibe mode.
It's the same with Jenna Ortega. And honestly, it kind of spans races because you can get that similar kind of flavor otherwise. But the most common is that it's that broody, at the very least, white passing brunette female who's also sassy, a little disrespectful. Yeah, it's
the girl?
Yeah.
Other girl from The Craft.
Who?
She was in Waterboy too. The white girl. The
what's
white
her
girl.
face?
I know exactly what you're talking about. But you know what's funny? I didn't even know that was the same girl. Yeah. No, I would say Selma Blair, I would go with the girl from the first Scream.
Well, like think of
Neve Campbell.
There it is. Yeah. And like think
Now,
of Selma
Neve
Blair like in Blair and Legally Blonde.
But I mean,
and
even
think of
before
how
that, Ione Skye. I mean, you got like there's a through line of like, if you don't have dark hair in the movie, you're not gonna be happy.
You can't have dark hair.
Aside from Belle, and we got screwed with Emma Watson.
See, and
she ended up playing a blonde instead of an actual brunette. So
I guess that's why I was like, okay, now that's a little different. Because I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, when I think of Mila Kunis, although you get a lot of her with the attitude, so to speak, you also like, I really just think of her as like, you see her smile a lot.
It's less. Right. Well, that's what I was saying. For her, it's less brooding and more sassy.
Yeah.
But there is still that broody nature to it. Honestly, Donna kind of had more of was more broody in my opinion than Mila Kunis. But I mean, if you want, you can take it a step further and look at that. Oh God, what's her face? The one who played Donna, that actress. Whenever she was in Orange Is the New Black, she's now a brunette. She's a lot more broody. She's somehow broodier. She's not like she takes the redhead broody and kicks it up a notch to the brunette broody. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's DJ Fast. You know what, man? We're gonna have to. We'll give Power Rangers a week. More people will get a chance to watch it, and we'll jump in here because I think it like just got released. I watched it today.
It just came out today.
Y'all can.
I didn't watch it. I watched.
See, and that's what I was getting ready to try to do, but I think the wife, like, she's I don't know. Maybe I can get her to sit through it because she's working from home tomorrow, but I can't have her late. Can't keep her up, and I can't watch it without her. So she'll feel some kind of way if she does not watch it with me. So may have to hold off or just reset the Disney Plus after that.
I might eventually get around to Mandalorian, but yeah.
Especially
since Pedro Pascal is all in the spotlight now, and now he's everyone's daddy.
Right. Like,
I mind.
Just Space Daddy.
People love that, but
honestly, I like Mandalorian. I think is the only thing I've seen him in. So it's like he's good if and when that's him in the suit. He good, but I didn't watch Last of Us, so I don't have like really.
Well, it's not just Last of Us; it's also Narcos and some other stuff he's been in.
Yeah, it's really weird.
But it's kind of cute, so it's okay.
I guess.
Like it's the thing. It's not like it's not something that he's really like self-confident about. He's just being himself. You know, it's a low maintenance. I think it's a sign of low maintenance, which a lot of women like. And that's kind of like a thing I saw the other day of people trying to show that it didn't. God, where the hell am I taking this pumpkin? Sorry, people were trying. Someone was doing like a TikTok saying that like, oh, women like this kind of man and this kind of man and this kind of man, and it's all like Andrew Tate style kind of things. It's like, no, y'all don't understand. Have y'all seen the type of like the men that women have simped for over the last 5 years? None of them match that style. And not a lot of them were macho either. It's people like Tom Hiddleston and Pedro Pascal. It's people that seem super accessible. Like, they're not
and a bunch of
manly
men.
man.
If you and a bunch of other men are sitting around talking about what kind of men women like, just unplug the podcast microphones, log off, because like, why? Like, you shouldn't be trying to tell women what they like. That's how we got in. That's how we get in all this. That's how we got Princess Peach messed up.
According to these
Listen
men,
to
women don't
women
actually
about
know what they want, because men have all the answers. According to these men, men know.
The only time
what
women don't know
want.
what they want is when it's time to get something to eat. Other than
Now,
that,
listen, men are just as bad, so don't you dare throw that on us too. Thank you.
we can agree to disagree on that.
If
we eating by ourselves, most dudes would just go.
Oh yeah,
but
same
if
with
you
women.
like,
Most
where
women
you want to eat?
Eating by themselves, no problem. But it becomes a problem whenever you end up having another person you're taking into consideration, because then you want to make sure you don't pick something they don't necessarily like, and you don't want to like have that rejection there, and you also don't want to be like, oh well, I really want this, and then they eat it, but they don't really like it. It becomes a whole complicated thing. So that I don't believe is necessarily gendered. I think that's more of an issue with just being too considerate with your partner, or just not caring, one or the other. But yeah, I don't think that's necessarily gendered. Otherwise, call David a woman and call me a dude. Like, that's just like, same with my parents, switch their roles. Same with like every single other couple friends that I have, where it goes back and forth all the time. The men don't know what they want to eat whenever they're eating with their partner. The women don't know what they want to eat when they're eating with their partner. So it has nothing to do with gender. Sorry for the rant.
I mean, that is the complete opposite scenario that I've experienced, but I've also learned just in general, I limit options. Like I try to do a good job of just altering. It's literally altering the words. Because if I say, instead of saying, where do you want to eat? I start off, do you know where you want to eat?
Like, are you feeling anything right now? Or
right. Do you have a taste for anything in particular?
Like the best option, honestly, is to do exactly that. See what they're feeling right now. If they don't really give you much of an option still, or they do, either way, you tailor the next answer to that, or the next question to that answer. And that is, what about this, or this?
Or
you
this.
give them a couple of options.
There you go. And so that part of it, like I said, if it's a situation where maybe I'm not hungry at that exact moment, but my wife is hungry, and then it's like, well, what do you want to eat? Because I'm not hungry, I don't have a preference at this time. So if I'm thinking like, what am I going to want to eat in a few hours from now? Yes, I probably don't know that. But even then, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have go-tos. I like this. If those one of the options, and I'm going to say like, we can do this, we can do that, I'll make those suggestions. But again, that's an individual thing. I'm not defending men as a whole by saying women can't decide.
And even at the end of the day, if that is actually true, which it's not, but if it were, it's completely understandable. Why? Because women tend to get stuck with making most of the decisions anyway. Every now and then it's nice to just kind of turn off and let someone else make that decision, or lay out the decisions for us to narrow it down. So like I said, once again, hashtag not all relationships, hashtag not all women, but hashtag not all men. But that tends to be a big thing. Honestly, David and I both burn out from decision making, and we both have to try and recognize that in each other. A lot of the times I tend to do a lot more of the planning in the relationship with stuff, and managing finances, and like managing our social schedule and what we're going to do and what's going on and what are we going to eat for dinner. And I get tired sometimes. I get tired a lot of the times. But I also know that, sometimes, David's got other things on his mind, and then he struggles with those decisions too. So yeah, I'm going up a group of like all guys. So I'm just kind of talking to walls right here. But
no,
yeah.
I mean, like, if I defend that or say anything against it, then
I'm just listening.
Like
I'm hearing what you're saying.
Because what I'm not going to do.
I was just joking as well. I don't mean that, like, but all that, because there are people who need to hear that. One of them, I do all the cooking in my house and
things like that. Y'all know that especially when it comes to like gendered issues, that kind of is a bit of a hot button for me from my background and everything. And yeah.
And so and that's why you never see me, like, if there's something that I don't understand or disagree with, we will talk it, we will hash it out, and I will try to like get a better understanding.
it also doesn't help the fact that I'm usually the only woman that's on here.
And I get that, but that's also why I want you to know that it's always a safe space whenever you talk. And I'm not going to directly contradict you and be like, that's wrong. And
no, that's only David who does that.
It is.
Am I right, David?
My experiences. I mean, like he got the ring. I don't. So if y'all want to have that hashtag, work it out. But man, we could have talked Power Rangers, but have 43 more minutes. Okay, we finna dip. I want to thank everybody for being on the show tonight. Go see Mario. Go check it out. Let's get this thing all the way up there so that we can continue to get movies made like this. If this is your wheelhouse, the type of stuff that you want to see, then hey, this is what you got to do. You got to support it. Let it keep breaking records. I think it started off as being the highest grossing video game movie. Then it's like now on track to be the highest grossing animated film.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking Mario might do $1 billion. And it's a good movie. I don't know how it did $1 billion, but let's see it.
Oh, this is Mario.
Right. Let's see it. But I mean, it's definitely
Anya Taylor-Joy.
She's part of a
That's
million.
what everyone is specifically going to buy tickets to the movie just to see her mediocre performance. Once
Just
again,
to
not
see
a statement on her character or her actor, like as a person herself or as an actress, but absolutely criticism of the guys the men who wrote her role.
If they decide to go with an animated Metroid, I'm gonna put her name in for it.
Well,
for an opportunity to redeem herself.
Supposedly Nintendo, no, I don't want her as Samus. We're good. Let's get another. Listen, blondes in LA are a dime a dozen. Let's get another one. All right. Anyway.
Actually, I picked a brunette when we fan casted that. Make sure to go check that out. Check out our live action fan casted for Metroid. We all picked. What you saying in LA? The Mario?
So supposedly Nintendo has a bunch of other movies in the works based on their franchises, on their IPs. So we might be getting a Zelda movie at some point. We might be getting, honestly, I can't see them doing Metroid. As much as I know all of you guys really like it, it doesn't really have a lot of, like, it's not one of their larger pulling IPs with the general public. Like, everyone knows Zelda. I mean, they think that Link is Zelda, but everyone knows Zelda. Everyone knows Mario.
And I will say, like Mario's been around for quite some time, and in some capacity, you have seen Mario on something.
Mario is like Mickey Mouse.
Right. He is. And honestly, you could have any. I think for the longest time, my dad specifically called every game console we had an Nintendo, because that was all he knew.
It's like how
everything was. We talk about, can I get this game for my PlayStation? You want something else for that Nintendo? Like, no, I want something for my PlayStation. It's same thing. No, it's different. Okay, you know what? I see this conversation's going nowhere, Mom. Because it was like, what's the point? But
I was blessed with gamer parents, so.
See, my kids have been blessed with gamer parents, or at least we gonna do this all night. I'm not gonna keep doing this with y'all. Stop bringing me into conversation.
I think David needs to say something before we close out, though. He's been very quiet. David, say something.
I'm tired.
Okay, there we go.
There it is. All right, we will come back.
Sam, you cut out. Yeah. Okay. So, hi guys.
Right, cool.
So, we're wrapping things up. Sam just got on mute. That's fine. He doesn't like us. That's okay. I see how it is.
Check us out every Wednesday at GROWNAGEEKS.
We're sassy brunettes for him to handle. So he couldn't handle the sassiness or the brunetteness of us. I guess I have enough roots that I've grown in by now. I'm kind of brunette again. Yeah, I think we have to wait for him to come back to
we
close
can't
out the live.
in the live.
Yeah. So hey guys, rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
It looks like he is still here. I don't know what's going on over there.
Well, for Sam, David, and Linda, check us out. Join the Facebook group. I don't know what we're doing next week, but we'll post it in the group for everybody to figure out what we're doing. We're probably going to talk Power Rangers, probably going to talk a little Mandalorian, and I don't know what else. But Sam's telling us to close it out. So, peace. And I guess he'll press the button backstage.
No?
Or not.
Okay.
And we can just keep looking.
No, I'm saying the let's wrap